Okay, so now that we finished trimming it, we're gonna take the model base and we're gonna measure the model against it. So if we take this, we have to make sure this fits in there. But as you can see, it's a little bit tight. So what we need to do is maybe trim it a little bit more, especially on the back. You see how it almost reaches the back, and it's very tight all the way around. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim this back a little bit more to make it shorter. These areas here have a lot of roughness, so we're going to just manually take this down here, so that when we pour the stone in here and then we put the model in here, it won't get stuck. You see these areas here? These areas, if you flow stone around it, it's not going to allow you to separate the base from the model, like on this one, for instance. When we take this out, you see how this is cleaned up and it's angled in a little bit. These areas here, you see right there, these will allow the model to be pulled out of the base here. Because this is countersunk, it's a little bit lower than here, so if this area is rough, then it will get stuck in here. If this area is smooth like this, it just comes in and out easily. Incidentally, these are the dual pins we're going to be using, and this one has plastic sleeves in the other side instead of rubber sleeves, so this way it doesn't really get stuck, but it comes in and out very easily. And because these areas here are trimmed away and these areas are flattened a little bit, so that's what we're going to do manually right now. So I like to use this angled burr here. Allow us to angle the model slightly. Don't need to take a whole lot away, just the rough edges and those areas that stick out. And we don't have to angle it too much, just a little bit. Then after this, we're going to go back to the model trimmer and trim away these areas from the back. We want to just make maybe a 3 or 4 millimeter area here. flex flat, so that when we countersink it into our base former, it won't get stuck when we pour the model stone in there. Okay, so here we go. Okay. So let's go trim this a little bit and be right back. Okay, so let's trim off the end a little bit. Wet the model so that the slurry doesn't get stuck. You just angle this down a little bit so that we make an automatic bevel right here. Wash it off. We dry it, and let's go on with the next step. Okay, so alright, so now we have trimmed the base, trimmed the back of this. We're going to take the model base former, we're going to try it in, make sure we have enough space, which we do. So we have enough space there. Can put this to the side, and then our next issue is to figure out where we're going to put the pins in this base. Okay, so we're going to make 3 removable dies, one here, one here, one here, which means these will definitely need pins, right? So if we put pins in here and we make a model base, what happens to this? It won't be able to be retained, so it will fall out and we'll have a problem because we won't be able to return the dies and the contact areas to the right place. So if we take a look at our previous model here, we have our dies. We have 2 dies in this case. So we have 1 pin in each of these dies. And then we have another section beside the die. These also need to be removable, but they need to be able to be replaced into the model accurately, so we have to put some pins on these also. So our pins will be here. This is a 4-tooth section, so 2 pins are enough. If we notice, these pins have 2 pins on each, although we have to drill only 1 hole. These 2 pins give the dies an anti-rotational factor so that they don't spin around while we are working on it. They also have little plastic sleeves which stay in the model base, if you notice here, and they allow the dies to slide in and out and give it a little bit of a friction so that they don't fall out right away. So it can be put in, taken out, and it still has a little bit of a tension. You have to still pull it out, it doesn't just fall out. Like in this case, this is an upper, so it's going to sit on the articulator like this, upside down, so if the dies are too loose, they'll fall out and fall on the ground and break. So let's continue with our decisions. Okay, so now this die needs a pin, so what we're going to do is we got to figure out where to put the pin, and normally you would put it in the center, and in the center we will draw a line perpendicular to the base, and we'll do the same with each die right through the center. This is a pretty long section, so this will probably need 3 to 4 dowel pins. I usually put 3 should be enough. The dowel pins should be located far enough from the die to prevent the saw from hitting it when we're sawing the dies out, and we'll get to that later. But right now is just placing the pins. So I would place the pins between these two teeth. This will put it far enough out of reach of this pin when we cut in between them to for the saw to hit it. We're going to put one in the middle here and one in the back. If we don't put one in the back here, then it's not going to be stable. So we want to make sure that this stands on the table like a tabletop. Like if you take a look at this one, we can set this up like this, which is important because when we are pouring the base, it's got to stand in here like this so that we can pour the stone inside, and then this will put in the stone like this, and it will stand up on the base, and then the stone will harden, and then we'll take out both of them. But if it doesn't have these last two pins, then it won't stand up. It will start wobbling and stuff like that, so it will never be perfectly straight like we want it to be. So once we draw these lines, we know where we're gonna put it on here. So we have another small section here because this is our die, so we're going to cut this out. So this will be standing on its own, so it needs a pin. So that will be in the center. And it's the same thing here. This is another small section. We'll put another dowel pin in the center here. Then what we'll do is, once we put this on, we're gonna do the lingual side. So this is the labial because it's the front buckle. It's the posterior section. And then this area is the lingual portion of it. So we're going to take a look at these lines here and draw another one on the lingual section right here on the lingual section. Take a look, follow it. The lingual section here. Try to do it as straight as you can, especially on the dies. The dies are extremely important that you get this line correctly. Then we look at this one here, we follow it to the back, to the lingual, and we do this die, another important one, so we have to make sure we get this exactly in the middle. Do this one. Now if we notice, as this arc turns on the inside, this is going to be a lot closer than on the outside here, and that's because these two lines, the outside line and the inside line, are not the same. The inside line is shorter than the outside line, so the lines are going to be closer in the front here since it's such a tight curve. And we do this line here in the center of this tooth, and then we have the last one right here, lingual. Okay, so now that we located all our pins, we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pins. So you see this one here? It kind of goes a little bit mesial, so it's not going perpendicular to this, so we have to make sure this line is perpendicular. So let me straighten this out. Then we can make 2 little marks here right by the lines, and then connect the 2 dots here, and we'll do the same to all of them. Connect them. Then number 9. There's 10 and 11. This is number 12, our little inlay. Then this is our last molar here. Okay, so these are our location, our labiolingual location of the pins. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is draw a line in the middle of this horseshoe. And this middle line is going to be our spot where we have to drill the holes for the pins. This is our ideal positioning for the dowel pins. Okay, so this is where we want it. So our drill or Pindex machine will have a laser that pinpoints to where that bottom drill is going to start drilling. So what we have to do is we have to kind of look at this from the top. Like, I usually start from the front. So this labial portion of this preparation, we start here and we take a look at the lingual portion of the preparation. Now this distance from here to there we divide in 2, and that will give us the location of the laser, which should be exactly this dot. Now we could be wrong, so what we must do is we should not drill all the way down. We're just going to push the drill down a little bit until we hear a little bit of a touch of the drill to the stone, and that will give us a little dimple right on this side, right on the bottom of the model. And that little dimple is where this dot here will drill. So sometimes if you don't pick the right spot up here, the dimple will be off. It will be a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, a little bit too labial, too lingual. So in that case we have to adjust our dot. So it will be good to, when we adjust the dot, to maybe use a different color each time, or maybe steam off the dot that we did so that we can start over again. But if you just use a different color pencil, then you'll be able to tell where you moved the dot. So like, let's say you have the little dimple here and you know you have to move it a little bit to the labial and then a little bit to the distal, then you would move your dot a little bit labial, a little to the distal on here, and then mark your dot. And then you aim it, you make another little dimple and see if you got it right. Most of the time, second or the third time, you'll get it right. The initial one is more like an index. You're going to do the same thing to all of them. So if we have this one we already marked, we can use a lead pencil. So this one has a very thin tip, so it's a little bit easier to mark the right dot. So we can do this one. We take a look. We look at the labial section here, and then the lingual section, and then divide it by 2, which would be right about here. So we make a little dot here, and then we do the same thing here. Take a look at this area here, and then this area here, and then make a dot right between here. And let's see how that goes. Maybe a little bit here. Yeah, that's probably better, like right here. And then we're gonna go take a look at this one. And divide that into 2. So we can try it right there, right in between the 2 teeth. Let's take a look at it from here to there, and then just go right by where your line is. just about there. Maybe a little bit more lingual, maybe like right here. And then here should be about there also. Then these should be fairly easy. Maybe like right here, right here, and then maybe gotta make sure we go right by the line. Let's see, gotta follow this. There. If you make a mistake, don't worry about it. And kind of scrape it off carefully. And then just move it more to the line. It kind of depends on where you are looking at it from. You should be looking at it straight up and down, like sort of like this. You see, this should line up with that line. This should be lining up with that line. This should be lining up with this line, but it should be in the middle. Yeah, just make sure that you have all your dots are clear, so you know exactly where you're going to point that laser.